those things. Principles do not change. The law, as we call it, that's one word for principle. The law cannot change, but it can be specialized. The law cannot change, but it can be specialized. So when you look at a law or principle, that's something like E equals MC squared. That's a law. That's the law. When that particular law, the laws that were involved were the law of the speed of light and the laws that deal with energy, which you can see on what they call the chart. I forget, the elements chart or something to that effect, where you're looking at the mass of things, physical laws, natural laws. Those type of things deal with mass. And so there are the speed of light, E equals mc squared, c squared, that's the speed of light. And so those things cannot be changed. Energy, it is said, cannot be destroyed. And so there are things like that. The law cannot be changed, but it can be specialized. And spiritual laws are the same type of way. And so you begin to understand how those work. But they can be specialized. E equals mc squared is a specialization of a spiritual law or a set of laws. And so that's what Einstein did. Einstein is said to have seen a vision, a couple of visions. One was of a snake chasing its tail. And he looked at that, and then it turned into a light ray. And then he dreamed of himself riding that particular light ray. And as a result of that, he came up with his particular formula. That's what I had read previously in regard to that. I don't know if it's a true statement or what it might have been, but that is the way that I came across it and began to understand. And I believe it was Einstein also who basically said that imagination was greater than intellect. And so we come up with those kinds of things in regard to this. And why are we saying this? Because when it comes to imagination and the whole thing that's going on with imagination and intellect, the subconscious mind, as we call it, comes into play. And the subconscious mind is what is called in the Bible a heart, where it says, as a person thinks in their heart, so is he or so is she. And so that has to be this place where also in the Bible there's the thing where it says in the book of Mark, I believe the 11th chapter, where Jesus is talking, says, it is done unto you as you believe. So belief takes place at the place of the subconscious mind, where a person actually consciously comes up with an idea, or they are given an idea, like the Bible speaks of the aspect of dreams and visions. Those are things that take place at the level of the subconscious mind. Well, how do I know that? It's taking place there, that is taking place within that particular confine. Because of the aspect that the Bible also speaks of, the aspect that an individual would be spoken to by God in regard to dreams and visions. That's what would take place in regard to a person. Dreams and visions would be given to an individual. So it's given to an individual, so it's got to be within a human being. And the subconscious mind is where those things are taking place. And so it becomes vital that an individual understand and be aware of how they are making contact with their subconscious mind. And then because the individual has to be someone who has an ability to make up his or her own mind or commit him or herself to something that they're going to be, do, and have, then that person has to be able to have conscious control to the point of basically arriving at the point of allowing or letting spirit have spirit's way within an individual. That's in the movies, by the way. In the movie Star Wars, there's that statement at the end where it says, trust the Force, Luke. Trust the Force being representative of trusting God. And so it's just another name. There are a lot of names for God. Just look at the various religions. They've got a number of names for God. And so trust the Force, Luke, becomes one of the things. In other words, allow God to have God's way, allow spirit to have spirit's way. Another statement is amen. I release and let go, so it is. And all of those are statements of that same kind of idea. And so we're looking at this. We stopped previously talking about transformation. There is something about transformation. Transformation is not, according to transformative learning theory, transformation and change are not the same thing. Change is something different. transformation is something different from what change. What is the difference? According to, if you look at transformative learning theory, now I mentioned this because of the aspect that after studying, I went pretty deep in regard to this. After studying transformative learning theory, they made it clear that transformation is what they call discontinuous. It is something that happens and a person has to give their consent to it. Again, it's like in the Bible, it says that a person has to be born again. Well, nobody can be born again for you. You have to make a decision that you are going to allow yourself to go through a process wherein your perspective changes. And this is what, according to transformative learning theory, happens when a person experiences a transformative change. Their entire perspective changes. It means everything about that person is totally new. Now, this is not what I came up with as far as that. I only came up with the 8 A's. I came up with those. Basically, I had a dream. I went to sleep, if you want to call it that, or I lost consciousness, if you want to call it that. And then I woke up and I had the 8 A's. I wrote them out when I was in school. I've told individuals this before. I was in school at Howard University School of Divinity. My professor was the eminent, to me at least, Dr. Kane Hope Felder. And when I woke up and I had written those out, he took over my life. Not in the sense of taking over my life. He just knew that I had something. I did not know what it was, but I explained them to him, and then he basically guided me through the writing of my dissertation, for which I got an award when I graduated from Howard. And I'm so very thankful that he worked with me the way that he did. And then in 2015 to 2020, I actually went to school and I studied transformative learning theory at Walden University. And so when I studied that, it talked about transformative learning theory. That study means I read article after article after article, and still have the articles as well. And what we're working with there is the idea that transformative learning theory, which was discovered or written about by a man named Mezirow, I believe is Mezirow, Merizow, I believe. I may have that incorrect, but I believe I have it correct in regard to that. I'm looking at. Let me change that. I've got it here, Mezirow. So let me change it in regard to that. Hopefully, I've got it right in my notes here. And so he wrote about this, and he talks about the fact that it is discontinuous, and that means that it happens, and then a person goes through it in regard to that, but it can also be something that happens, and then the person puts it to the side, and then they go through a process and living, and then they come back again and pick it up, and they go through a process again, and they go through a process again over and over again. Sort of like when Paul says, I die daily, and those kinds of things in regard to that. And so this entire thing that is taking place here, I read an article, and the article was written by an individual. I won't attempt to pronounce his name. It's kind of like a French name from what I have. All right, the 8 A's Transformation Framework, as used by the Restore Executive Life and Leadership Coaching and Consulting, which is the company I have, relies on an understanding of systems thinking to be used effectively, efficiently, and beneficially for all parties involved. Systems are present everywhere, including within the human body, which is an intricate network of interconnected systems. According to Poutiatine, Poutiatine, who wrote this article in 2009. Another study by him, including the study of Mezirow, Mezirow, and then Taylor and Associates, writing with him in 2009, and others. Mezirow, the originator of transformative learning theory, articulated a structured theory of the transformational process, applying it to adult learning and development in both personal, that means coaching, and professional organizational contexts. He also developed a definition of transformation. This is what I wanted to say. His definition, which is used to define the meaning of transformation as used in the 8 A's of transformation, indicates transformational change requiring a reformulation of of reified structures of meaning by reconnecting dormant narratives. Now, what he's talking about, that, as I said before, has to do with beliefs and values and these ideas that we have as the basis of our life, as the basis of the foundations of our life. So this is what takes place. It says a fellow named Anderson, writing Anderson is an article that I read, wrote about transformational change, which is called transformation, 8 days of transformation, as a radical shift from one state of being to another, resulting in a shift on every level of one's being, including beliefs, mindset, behavior, and culture. It is a total shift in one's awareness, resulting in the complete reorientation of the individual and or the organization and its people to see themselves in the world. This is what is demanded by transformation. So when we speak of 8 days of transformation, we're not just talking about someone just happy-go-lucky and they arrive at the point where they say, I've been transformed. That's not what we're talking about here. I don't believe, honestly, that the Word of God, the Bible, ever talked about transformation. When Paul says, be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind, I don't think he was talking about what we see sometimes in this day and time, that is just something that, just fits in. He says, be not conformed to this world. He makes it very clear. So from what I have read, and please understand that I'm not the final authority for your life. I'm the final authority. I'm not even final authority for my own life. And that's been demonstrated over and over and over again to me. And so, as I said, the phrase is, I release and I let go. I let the Spirit have Spirit's way in my life. That's what I've learned to do, because I've discovered that I am not in charge of me. So I have to release and I have to let go. I have to let God actually have God's way with my life. And that has worked better for me. When I have not done that, then I end up in a great deal of trouble. That's what has taken place with me. And so I wanted to just mention that when we speak of awareness, it is like a wake-up experience. It's awareness of vision. Is different. So that's the point that we're making here. Listen to Awareness of Vision. Woke Now. So we're going to sign off for now. Take care. We'll be back with you in the next time that you listen to the podcast. God bless you. This is Dr. Dennis L. Waters. You can email us at info@iwillrestore.org. info@iwillrestore.org. Take care.